Happy freaking Thursday to my social society. I see Nadia smiling already. Hey, sis. Happy freaking Thursday, as usual, for this, as we've been doing all week. Y'all know I like to get started on time. We are not doing well, I was gonna say something, but maybe that's not appropriate for the environment. Let me clean my camera really quickly. We are starting on time all week long. I will be keeping my eye on the weight room, but we're going to respect everybody's time, especially because we have a guest coming in today. If you are ready for this session, let's go ahead and get the chat coming. Let me find it first. Oh, here we go. If you are ready for today's session, I want to see ready in the chat right now. Before we get started, I want to let y'all know I like to let people introduce themselves, but I will say shout out to my girl Ashlynn for coming in. I appreciate you so much. Um, Let me let Alyssa in. Give me just a second. Shout out to you for coming in. I hope y'all are ready to catch these gems. I see Ready coming through the chat. So we're gonna go ahead and get it started. I'm gonna turn it over to Ashlynn. And let's kick it off. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you, Ebony. I'm not good with intros, y'all, but my name is Ashlynn. I own my own creative marketing agency called Ashlynn Racquel Media. I do influencer marketing full time for a e-commerce brand. I've been in the influencer marketing industry for 4 years specifically, but I've been doing marketing for 8. I've generated sales for some really amazing businesses, but I've also worked with top influencers, small all the way to celebrity. So I am excited to hear y'all's questions and give y'all some tea on influencer marketing and how you can get involved.
Period. Let me stop sharing my screen because I know you have a presentation you want to pull up. So I'm gonna stop sharing really quick and
Okay.
I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. Let me pull it up. I don't even know where it is. I need to do better. Screen. Oh, let me make sure it's sharing first. Can everybody see?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So let's just jump right in. I already gave y'all a little spill about myself, so we're just gonna bypass this. So the first thing and the biggest question is what is influencer marketing? So to give a textbook definition, influencer marketing is a form of marketing that involves collaborating with individuals who have an influence on a group of people, specifically their audience or followers, to promote a product or service. In layman's terms, it's just partnering with people that fit your target audience for your business, that people already trust and that you can utilize to grow your business by just building that trust within their community. Examples of this, of course, I have this screenshot of Sacred right now, but Sacred had a really nice batch of influencers that helped them grow. They were already growing because it's Beyonce's brand, but they also included influencers that were known in the hair, makeup, and beauty space to also pull different audiences to help them leverage their business as well. Reach, engagement, and convert. So why influencer marketing is a game changer and where it came from. It's been around for a good while now, but it's starting to be more prevalent. Everybody's a content creator, everybody's an influencer. They're two different things, by the way. But it's a game changer because it can increase your brand awareness. It can enhance your credibility, especially as a small business. Partnering with people that people already trust really enhances the credibility that you'll ship product, that your product is actually good. It also gives a higher engagement rate. This can drive sales, this can drive followers, this can drive likes, comment, engagement, whatever you're looking for. There's so many different avenues for influencers that can help you advance. And then improved return on investment. Influencer marketing can deliver such a strong return on investing in the sense of advertising for your business. I have a little blurb here, but 41% of marketers consider the return on investment from influencer marketing to be comparable with other marketing channels. Influencer marketing isn't the only thing you should do, but it is something you should include with your business strategies because it's really beneficial, especially for social media. Also, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat because I'm ready to chat about it. How much do they cost? This is a very wide ranged tier. Influencer marketing ranges. So the first thing I want to hit on is the fact that there are different categories when it comes to the size of influencer marketers and their tiers. So a nano creator is the smaller ones. They're 1K to 10K followers. There's also can even be a little bit smaller than that, and they can be under 1K. And then you have your micro influencers that are 10K to 15, and it just keeps going up tier to tier as the picture shows. Your megas are also in alignment with like a celebrity status, but in the sense of influencer marketing, their tier is just mega. Rates vary based on a number of factors. So you have the audience and engagement. You have the niche. Are they in fashion? Are they in beauty? Are they in food? There's so many different niches as well when it comes to how much somebody costs. Another big factor is campaign goals and deliverables, especially with where you're wanting them to post, what type of content. So I gave like a little example down here. A micro influencers range, for example, is anywhere from 200 to 1,000 per post. This is a very broad range, and it's because it really depends on if their audience is engaged, are they converting in sales? Is their content high quality? There are a lot of smaller creators that actually do produce really high quality. They just haven't built that following as well. So this is a little bit into how much they cost. I do know a key point of this as well, and how you can know that somebody is good when you're thinking about how much they cost as well. My favorite thing to do is ask for analytics. Ask for what they are already producing. What are the conversions that they already have produced? Some rates are astronomical. I can tell you that firsthand. Some people are charging astronomical rates. So I like to make sure that the rate that they're asking for aligns with their analytics. Are they actually driving sales? Do they convert? There are so many different ways that you can do conversion, from Instagram sales, TikTok sales, like to know it sales. There's so many different avenues. So you want to check all of them before investing in such a huge strategy, especially as a small business. So that's just a little glimpse of how much they cost. And then my last little slide is getting started with influencer marketing. It is a whirlwind. So there's so many ways to jump into it. But the first thing you want to do is make sure you're set up for success. And that's defining your target audience and your campaign goals. There are so many different strategies around how you want to leverage influencer marketing, and you want to make sure you have strategized to a T before reaching out and just wasting money. So focus on what your target audience is. Do you want sales, or do you just want an aesthetic? Do you want somebody that can produce high quality, or do you want somebody that can convert for you as well, or do both? These are goals that you want to have in mind. Do you want this to be a short-term campaign? Do you want it to be long? These are things you should have in mind firsthand before you start outreach, so that you're able to negotiate rates, but also you're able to have some wiggle room and understand their analytics and actually what you're looking for. The next thing is define the purpose of your campaign. I kind of hit on this with the campaign goals, but again, you're focusing on what is the true purpose. Do you have a product launching? Do you have a new kit coming out? Do you have something of value that you're needing to sell, whether it's digital or physical? You want to make sure that you understand your purpose before you reach out as well. Building relationships is also key. In this day and age, and especially with me working in influencer marketing currently, there is a huge shift of a lot of consumers wanting to follow influencers that actually only promote things that they love. So they're not looking for those influencers that just promote everything. They're looking for people that actually have a relationship with a brand and are continuously using that product, whatever that may be. So building those relationships also can come in handy when it comes to negotiation later down the line. Set clear expectations and content goals. This is also very important along with your contracts. Make sure everything is in writing. Everything down to how you want them to post, how many times you want them to post, how many reshoots you want. Make sure it is in fine print, because it's going to come in handy, because sometimes influencers have a tendency to miss things or they take too long. You want to have this in writing and make sure those expectations are clear before you sign anything at all. And lastly, track and measure your campaign performance. I like to say for small businesses, start small. Don't start with a bunch of influencers, but start with maybe 2 to 3. That way you can track and understand your performance to ensure that you're marketing and finding the right people, because you don't want to continue to put out money if you're not bringing in money. And you want to ensure that these influencers are actually generating a nice sale for you and actually benefiting you. Um, on top of that, another thing when it comes to outsourcing and how you can source these influencers, there are a couple of platforms, and I'll be sure to send them to Ebony so she can give them to you guys in the sense of spelling. But a couple that are really good for small businesses. One is Coley. Coley is really, really good when it comes to finding people to do UGC content. UGC content is user generated and it's not posted on an influencer's feed, but it can be used on your social to promote your stuff. You also have the ability to reach out to them for that type of content and contract them to post on socials. Another good one is Social Cat and Social Native. All three of these are really, really helpful for small businesses when it comes to being able to source a rapid rate of influencers. Let's say you have a product coming out and you want to bring like 10 in. And then, yeah, so that's how you would get started. And then if you do see the little filler on here, everyone on this call will get an exclusive copy of a simple brand brief. This is a brief that can help you send and pitch influencers. And then you'll also get an influencer outreach template as well that you can utilize to outreach, so you know exactly what you're asking them so that you can get the right rates back and not have to worry about what to say or how to say it. And yeah, I think that's it for right now. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. But if y'all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But that's just a little glimpse of what influencer marketing is and how it can be beneficial to grow your business and leverage you to success.
I do have a question. I know this is not about me, but
Let's do
I do
it.
have a question, just for the girls, because I know you talked about tracking analytics, and measuring the success of the campaign. How would they measure that outside of sales? I know
So,
sometimes we, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know sometimes we work with people and then we get them in. And this is just a quick piece of advice before you work with influencers. Make sure when they come to your brand represents how you want your brand to represent so you can convert the sales. But once you get them there, how do you measure that?
So there's different measurements, and this goes back into setting those campaign goals. Sometimes it's not sales. Sometimes you want to measure it by if there was a spike in your following. Was there a spike in your likes and content creation? Was there a spike in your posts? Did a lot of people start liking it? Did you start to get a lot of comments and interactions? Did you get a lot of website clicks after this influencer posted? There are a lot of different metrics outside of sales that can show you that it was a success. Although you may have wanted the focus to be sales, that influencer may not have produced that. But also make sure you're keeping tabs on those little ones that you might not think about, because those are still really good KPIs for you to remember when it comes to utilizing other influencers in the future. So there's so many different KPIs that you can look for. Sales, of course, always being what you really want, but ensuring website clicks, traffic to your Instagram. Did you see a spike on a specific day? Did a specific reel all of a sudden start to trend after this person? You want to start tracking those things, and they're very little, but they're going to go a long way when you start to contract bigger influencers, and it'll allow you to see exactly what you're looking for in the long run.
One other question that I saw in the chat from my sis, Danielle. Hey, Danielle.
Hey,
She
Danielle.
said, I heard that the analytics can be faked or altered. Is that true?
Hmm. Yes, they can be. And you want to know how you get around that? Ask them to screen record it. I have done that as well. Screen record your analytics. I want to see a video proof. There is, unfortunately, people that do that, but ask them for a screen recording. You can't fake that at all. And make sure the time and the alignment match when you ask them for it in the email. But I do have influencers that'll send the screenshots, but they'll also send me proof in video form. So I think that would help around that. Unfortunately, we are in an age where sometimes people do lie, so you're never truly able to know. But there are also some platforms that'll allow you to look at analytics on the back end. They are a little costly though, but there are a few. I'll be sure to share some with Ebony that might be more on the friendly side and maybe even a free side, that'll allow you to look at analytics on your own. That way you can kind of measure them between the influencers just to make sure they're not lying.
I see Stephanie said she had a question. If you want to come off mute, my girl.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hey y'all, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, all right. So for me, I'm a content strategist and coach. Ebony already knows that I recently started my own like project, which is a networking event. So I
Okay.
have that coming up in October. So I'm just happy to be here right now so I can give you all my questions.
Okay.
So as an influencer marketer, my question to you is what will you say creators like myself and others creators, influencers need in order to get on you guys' radar? So for one, I know that email is important to have in our bios. And I also know that location in the bio is important. So what do you do as an influencer marketing when you're, on the social media sites, if you could give us like your top 3, top 5 things that a creator needs in order to get on you guys' radar?
Okay, that's a great question. So when I'm sourcing for influencers, funny enough, I'm very old school. I call it old school because I actually don't use a system. I'm very organic. So I am scrolling on social media 24/7. My biggest thing or my top five, funny enough that you said the top two, as much as people say it, people still don't put that email and that location in their bio. So those would probably be, I'll go ahead and put them in one so that I don't take up 2, 3, 4, and 5. The second one that I think is very, very, very important is utilizing hashtags. As much as people say they don't work, they do. I use them to find the smallest creators ever, but the content is there. I actually just contracted a couple of people that have under 1,000 followers, and to be honest, we're paying them $1,200 to do 60 seconds of content. I found them through hashtags, specific ones. They were maternity focused, but I did find them because they were using credible hashtags. A lot of people overuse hashtags, but a little goes a long way. Use hashtags that align with what you're actually posting. It could be something so simple. I search all types of hashtags. If I'm looking for a cowboy, I'm typing in cowboy hat, cowboy, horse. I'm looking for every hashtag possible to find somebody that represents what I'm looking for. So I think that would be number 2. Number 3, I would say, is make sure, Ebony kind of hit on this in the sense of a business, but I would say make sure that you are already looking like what you want to be represented as. Make sure your content is already being produced as if you are getting brand deals. I look for quality in content. I really don't look for followers. I could care less about it, partially because my job, I work for the UGC side. So I'm actually looking for people to put in ads. I rarely look for the people that are actually posting on their feed. I do both, but my main focus is paid social. So make sure that your content is perfect. Not perfect in the sense of flawless, but perfect in the sense of the quality is there for what you're wanting it to be. Number 4, I think for a content creator, I would say ensure you're creating organic content. And I say that in the sense of when you start getting brand deals, don't stop doing what got you there. Because I also see that that's a big issue is once people start getting all these brand deals, all you see is paid stuff down their timeline. Don't stop doing what got you to where you are because that content is what got you that audience. Stay genuine to yourself because you want to make sure you have a nice balance of paid content and also organic. This allows for brands to see what is called brand loyalty within your account. So for instance, if all I use is Dove 24/7, no other soap brand in the world is on my feed, but I'm not getting sponsored by them, but that brand loyalty is there, similar to how people choose between Samsung and Apple. I'm going to reach out to you if I'm on a Dove campaign eventually because you've already shown a loyalty. People are already interested. And I think the 5th one, and as cliche as it is stay original. I look for people that step outside the box with their content. I look for people that are just very unique in the sense of what they're producing. They're not a lot of replications, but you're able to tell that it's their content. There's a lot of people that I reach out to where they are the only ones that can do that. We just contracted a TikToker that is known for a specific audio. We paid her $4,000 just for her to do maybe 20 seconds of changing in between outfits. And I think those would be my top 5. If I had to give an idea of how you can get on my radar. Everybody's radar is different, but that is how I organically source, and that's how I kind of try to make sure I'm finding diverse people and people that do really well with content and maybe just don't have that following yet. But that would be my tip. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Real quick before you go on, because you spitting that fire right now, and I'm taking notes. You, for your last point, you said to stay original. Can you elaborate a little more on the staying original?
Absolutely. It kind of also pivots back to that number 4, which is don't stop doing the content that got you to where you are. A lot of times people start to copy other people's content or the way they edit or the way they do something. You're not making it original. Everybody knows it. A big example of this is the only influencer I can think of right now is Monet McMichael. If you guys aren't familiar with her, please look her up. But Monet started out doing slow-mo videos, and she has a very specific editing style on how she got to where she is. It's very, very simple. Something I noticed once she blew up was a lot of people were trying to teach how to edit like Monet. You don't need to do that. We already have her. Start editing like yourself. Start creating something unique so that people can know your signature on social media, as I should say. What does your signature look like? Is it a certain font? Is it a certain color that you always have? Is it as simple as a saying that you repeat? Another influencer that I love, her name is A. Wilkie. Every day in her video, she starts by saying, hey guys, we're about to go somewhere. It's really simple. It's the simplest little signature, but I know it's her. I don't even have to look at the video to know it's her now because it's the same thing every video. I think it's finding your purpose, and it's okay to copy like trending audios, but I'm saying make sure your content is unique to you, whatever that looks like. Just don't spend too much time trying to copy somebody else's concept because they're already doing it. And especially if they're already blown up in doing it, that's where all those comments come from, where you're copying XYZ and you kind of don't have your originality there. And I think that's kind of lost as well because everybody kind of copies what works. And a good example was that neutral aesthetic that went on forever. I'm a colorful person, so I couldn't do the neutrals, but everybody started buying neutral everything, neutral houses, neutral furniture, neutral accessories. Everybody was making the same Amazon videos. It starts to be repetitive to where nobody has originality. You want to make sure you have originality so that you can be found, because that's what we're looking for. People that can convert, but also that is what differentiates content creators from influencers. The people that have influence versus the people that can just create really good content.
I see Danielle has her hands up. If you want to come on off mute, my girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Danielle, if you're talking, you still muted, sis. Also, I'm dropping Ashlynn's Instagram in the chat as well, so y'all can make sure y'all go follow and keep up with all things influencer marketing. What other questions do y'all have while we wait on my friend and this mute button? What other questions do y'all have? Drop them in the chat. Come off mute. Because I will ask a question because I do have one.
I see one in the chat that had said, if you want to be an influencer, any tips on that? I think that kind of hits into kind of like those 5 pillars I just said. Honestly, this is also a cliche response, but if you want to be an influencer or even just a content creator, just start. It's such a cliche response, but you have to just start, whether that's starting story time, starting a vlog, starting, you have to start to figure out what your audience likes. So that is honestly such a cliche answer, but that would be my biggest tip. Like, just don't be afraid to get in front of the camera. Starting is the hard part, Erica. I see your comment. It is hard. But time is gonna pass anyway. So what you gonna do?
You sound
you gotta start somewhere. And it doesn't, everybody changes their content as well. So content is always evolving. You have to see what works too. You have to see what your audience likes. Who is your audience? play around with it. I think starting as a content creator is probably the most fun because you get to have so much freedom. You get to not really care about what people think about you because you get to test the waters on what you want to do versus what everybody thinks is perfect. So I think that's the best part. But just start. Whatever makes you happy, whatever you enjoy doing. If you enjoy pottery, do pottery. I follow people on a farm. I'm nowhere near a farm. I love farmers. It's my favorite thing in the world. And that's like such a small, unique niche. But I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, just start. Starting is the best thing. And the audience, what is for you is going to come for you. But you got to start in order to see what that looks like. Now, Danielle, your hand went back up.
I'm sorry. I'm at work, so I didn't hear you. So forgive me. I'm trying to multitask. So my question is, how do you find influencers who do like hair extensions and wig content, but it's not saturated to where they're doing like hundreds of companies and it doesn't seem authentic?
Oh, you want to know my real answer for that? YouTube. I think YouTube hair influencers are the OGs of it all because those reviews last forever. The TikTok ones that you probably are used to seeing, do get a lot of promo. They're sent 25,000 wigs. And something that I do notice in the comment section of a lot of those things are people that say bring back actual real videos of reviews of hair. I think YouTube would be the best bet for influencers, and there's a big niche there. So I would say that would be the best way to find somebody that can produce something. And the big thing about YouTube is once it's posted, it's there forever. So you don't have to worry about them removing it because 9 times out of 10, a YouTuber is not going to delete a video. And you can also put that in your contract so that they can't delete it. But that is probably the most organic way that people go look for hair reviews and actual quality. If you are looking for a influencer that is on like TikTok or Instagram, it's a little bit trickier. Hashtags might be the best way because if you just type in hair influencer in the search, it's going to bring up like all of the big name ones. So I would say hashtags would be beneficial. They can be as simple as like hair extensions, hair review. I'm trying to think. I have a client that's a hair extension brand, so I'm trying to think about what hashtags I use for her. But bundle review, all things like that. Look, add the word review at the end, and you might start to see some people that produce some nice quality stuff. That can kind of guide you away from like the overly saturated ones. But the hair industry is unfortunately so oversaturated. So YouTube might be the best to find people that can produce a really good quality review for you that'll be long term. Now that return on investment for it might take a little longer, depending on their following. But I promise you, YouTube videos blow up randomly. So you can contract somebody and 1 month you might not see anything, and then the next month that video is like at the top of everywhere, and now your hair brand is blowing up. So I think this also goes to where Ebony was saying, make sure your brand is already set up to look like how you want it to, because you never know when that blow up is coming. But that's kind of how I would bob and weave between influencer marketing on TikTok and other socials versus YouTube. And I think that'll be how you find really good people for that.
Okay, and then one more question.
Of course.
Can you put in your contract, hey, while you're working with my company, we're locked into this for, 60 days. You're not able to work with any other hair company. Is that okay to do?
Absolutely. It's called an exclusivity clause. Now they might charge you a little bit more for it, but it is possible. It is where you are letting them know that they are only exclusive to work with you. I say that it might cost you a little more because they are going to be like, well, you're kind of making me miss out on money. That's like their favorite thing to say. So be it. If you're able to afford that additional fee that they're charging, cool. But also you can also negotiate with them and see what they're willing to do. But yes, you are able to contract exclusivity. A lot of brands do it. So yeah, that's definitely something you can put in your contract so that they aren't being able to post around the time that they're posting yours.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback. And we're able to reach out to you beyond the meeting.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm always available.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ashlynn before we hop? put them in the chat, come off mute. If this is good information, if this is helpful information, let me know in the chat. I feel like we need to bring the energy back for day 4. This is the last day of the lock-in. I know we've been on here all week. Y'all done got so much information this week. And if you like me, you probably good and tired. But this is the last day. I hope this is really good information. Shannon said in the chat, and I think I'm the only person who can see it, but she said, this was great. Thank you. I did drop Ashlynn's Instagram in the chat, so make sure you guys reach out to her and connect with her. I was gonna say, let me make sure I spelled it right. Make sure you guys reach out to her and connect with her on social media. Any last minute questions? You good?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my question for you is, can you share an example of a creative influencer campaign that has stood out to you?
Ooh, that's a question.
I think as of recently, so funny enough, I'm on LinkedIn and I do newsletters about influencer marketing every week. So I'm trying to think about what I've recently talked about. I think one that has stood out to me, as of recently, it's the only one that's come to me. There's 2 of them because everybody's been obsessed with Love Island. Is the Cheez-Its collab between Cordell that sold out in 10 minutes. I think that's actually crazy that you can sell out of Cheez-Its. I know it was like an exclusive collab that he did, but that was kind of wild to me. Another one is that Sacred, Beyonce's hairline collab with Serena. And they did her wig for the reunion. A lot of people thought it was her hair, but they washed her hair and then put on a wig. I thought that was very unique. Those are probably the 2 that have been the most unique to me as of recently. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out. I think the biggest one of last year that I talked about was the topical during Dutty December, where they brought a bunch of influencers to, I don't want to butcher it, I don't know where they took them. It's not coming to me right now. I'm sleepy. But so they took them somewhere, and it was a huge blowout of beautiful Black content creators from everywhere, different niches all around, and they all were just celebrating the launch, not launch of topicals, but just the product overall. I think another influencer campaign. I think those would have to be my tops right now. There's been a lot of collabs, but I think campaign-wise, those would be like my biggest that have happened as of recently in the influencer space.
That's awesome. And for me, I personally really like topicals. So I'm excited that you actually mentioned topicals and the fact that it's a Black-owned brand. Come on with it. Like, I did have a follow-up. Sorry, I don't want to take up anyone else's time, but I really came with questions because I had a lot from just the content strategist side, because I've had people, clients that I work with, ask me influencer marketing questions. I'm like, listen, that's not my ministry.
Okay.
And it just so happens that, joining the society, Ebony's allowed us to have access to you. So I'm like, this is great information to bring back and actually use in my series. And I'll be sure to tag you like as the GOAT who was the source of it. My follow-up question for you, go any direction you want to go with it, but how do you encourage influencers to create content that resonates with both their audience and the brand's target market? Like, how would you give that advice to a creator on how to do that?
That's a really good question. I think when it comes to a creator, their point is to create. And so the advice that I give is push back. When a brand tries to put you in a box, push back, because there's a reason that you reached out to me. So I don't think that my advice would be to lower your standards of what you do to appease them. I think my response would be to negotiate with them on, this is the type of content that I do. And if you are interested in me, I need my creative freedom because I know what my audience likes. So I think the middle ground there is to stand your ground as a creator, because there's a reason they came to you. They can't find somebody that can do what you can do. So I think the response for me would be pushing back and letting them know, like, even if they're giving you a concept that they're wanting you to replicate, I think the best way would be pushing back and telling them, I can do it in this way. And I think the biggest thing is communication and communicating how you would achieve it. So if it's something that you're not interested in doing or it doesn't flow with like what you already create, I would let them know that firsthand and then give them an alternative. So one, that they don't turn away from you, but that they're able to see that you're able to adapt, because adaptability is also key. And I think if they have a vision, there's still a reason they came to you. So turn that vision into what you would do so that both parties are getting a successful campaign. Because if you do something that is not for you, your audience is going to know. All the time in the comments on social media, everybody knows when it's an ad. Some people are really good at hiding ads because it just looks so organic. Others are not. And I think that is a big key, is because they're not pushing back. They're just kind of accepting it. But you can push back on influencer agents. Influencers do it all the time to me. I've had influencers tell me that they're not comfortable doing a trend that I sent them because they've never done it before. And I have sent follow-ups of, okay, well, can you do this type of trend? And I pulled a trend from their social medias. So I think if you do it in a respectful way and just let them know that you are the expert on your audience, you won't fall short in having to create stuff that you don't want to or you don't feel passionate about.
That was such a good question, because I was going to ask, and it kind of goes on like in the same direction, right? I was going to ask, I know you give your creators their deliverables, right? This is what I need in the content, but how much is too much? Because I know from the influencer side, I've gotten some, well, we want you to say this, and then you got to start it with this, and you got to end it with this, and we want you to do this, right? And it's when you start to lose that authenticity. So from the brand side, how do you know how much is too much without you losing your purpose that you're trying to convey within the campaign?
That's a really good question. I think luckily I'm not on the side of doing too much. A lot of the briefs that we send with the brand that I work for is driven on the influencer. So even in the brief, it says, do this how you would do it. Even if there are testimonial points, it says, say this in your words. So we give them a script. I think it begins to be too much when they're directing you in the brief. I feel like that's too much. I think a brief should be short, simple, and one page. And everybody in this call will get an example of a brief that I normally send. It's 2 pages. And the first page is literally just brand guidelines on what to do and what not to do. The second half is just shots that we would want you to get. But there isn't any restraints outside of just making sure you make sure that you are doing the brand guidelines and you're following them. But there are a lot of brands that do too much and they take away and they strip that creative freedom. I have seen those type of brands. So I feel like it's too much when they start to try to basically build out what you're going to film. I think that is crazy because you're going to these people for a reason. So clearly they're doing something on their own already. But I love the briefs that are just short, sweet, and simple, and straight to the point. We just need you to do this, get this shot, do this, and just make sure it's high quality. But I think too much is when they start to try to direct your own content idea, because then it's lackluster and everything looks the same.
That was such a good answer. Such good information. Any last minute questions before we jump? I was gonna say we got all night, but I ain't gonna hold Ashlynn all night. So we got a little
You
time.
know what?
I have one more question.
Raises my hand in nervousness. No. My question is more on the LinkedIn side. Okay, so in regards to LinkedIn, because I don't know if my LinkedIn is broke, or maybe I don't have the right information in my bio. I don't know what's going on, Ashlyn. Help me out with this LinkedIn, because I went ahead and I got the premium because I'm trying to reach out to brands and things like that to get like samples and stuff. So the biggest issue I've been having is response time. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I get more personal and find like the person who works in that realm of partnerships, and maybe I'll have better help than just sending the email, like for example to Sephora, just Sephora's general email, whereas I can go on LinkedIn and find the homegirl that works specifically in that area. So like, how do you navigate that?
So LinkedIn is tricky. I do have a big voice on LinkedIn, in the influencer space. So I think crafting your timeline is the biggest thing because me and Ebony have had this talk before, and Ebony also like feels like her LinkedIn is kind of more corporate, and mine's like more creative and fun, and like I see all these big campaigns all the time on mine. I think you one have to connect with the people that you're interested in. You don't necessarily have to deep dive into their messages, but creating and crafting that timeline that you see is the key because I am connected with a lot of people that now I can reach out just directly to pretty much a lot of really big brands I'm following, like their influencer strategist or manager. Making your profile easy to understand, but the biggest thing is honestly community engagement. And what I mean by that is commenting on other people's posts and what they're doing and kind of building a little personal relationship with people. Because that's probably the best way for you to just like send an email. A lot of times, some people don't respond. And what I say to that is that's just not for you. If they don't respond, don't take it anyway, because what's for you is going to be for you and somebody's going to answer. But it's okay to reach out to people on LinkedIn. Everybody on there is pretty cool. I think the best way to do it is keep it short and sweet. Start off the message with what you're needing to achieve, what you're wanting to do, and asking them maybe for their email or maybe giving them yours. And that might be the best way to avoid getting like cold shoulders. I think keeping it short and sweet, because I respond to short and sweet messages. If they're very long, I sometimes don't have the capacity to read all that. So I'll open it, but then I will forget to respond. But if it's short and sweet and it's like, hey, Ashlynn, I have a portfolio of influencers I'd love for you to check out if they're a good fit. Boom. Okay, perfect. Hey, girl, I'll send you my work email and now I have your roster. I think keeping it short and sweet with what you're trying to do is how you're going to be able to leverage that. And I'll even do you one better and just mentally say something out loud that might be good for you to message somebody. Since you said Sephora, I'm going to go ahead and just reference Sephora here, but you can message somebody. What you're going to want to do, since you're looking for samples, you're going to want to find the people that work in PR. Just a little side note, that's who you're looking for on LinkedIn. So you'll go to the PR people and you'll say, hi, my name is blank. Small little sentence. I do XYZ. I would love to know who to get in contact with so that I can grab some samples for an event that I have coming up. Here's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me or let me know if you're not the right point of contact and how I can get in contact with the right person to sponsor or send samples for my event. Really short and simple, maybe 3 sentences at the most. They'll respond to you. They'll get back to you. But a lot of times too, people don't respond because you're not reaching out to the right person. So they'll ignore that as well. You're going to look for the people that are in PR and communications for any brand that you're looking for. Influencer marketing people are kind of nicer, so they also might help you. If you need somebody to give you like a referral or a recommendation on who exactly to go to. But I would keep the message short and sweet. Let them know who you are, what your purpose is, what you're needing from them, and a contact, and then just keep it at that. That was a tangent, but I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I saw Danielle came off mute too.
Yes, this is my last question.
Take your time, friend. Take your time.
Yes. How do you feel about Pinterest? I heard that if you learn how to work Pinterest, it's like a hidden gem. Is that true?
It is true.
Especially for like the hair industry?
It is true. Pinterest is a hidden gem overall because Pinterest never changed its format, kind of like YouTube, which is funny that I was talking about YouTube directly to you. So yes, Pinterest is a hidden gem for sure. Transparently speaking, I'm not a big Pinterest girly. I do post on my own Pinterest and I do get a nice little engagement from it. I haven't spent a lot of time to where I can give true solid details on it, but it is a hidden gem. It's similar to LTK, like to know. It's similar to that in the realm of analytics and sponsorships, but it is a hidden gem. But just like YouTube, that return on investment is a little bit longer. But when you do post on there and you start to build a platform on there, it's really, really beneficial. And you can see a really good spike in sales or even just people clicking. Everybody's on Pinterest. Everybody's looking for something. Eventually your post will come across. But it's a hidden gem that you got to kind of give a little bit more love and TLC to, but it's definitely a hidden gem that people don't tap into. There are a lot of Pinterest influencers that are like so hidden. And I'm talking about the ones that just make like cute fashion content with like no face. Like the faceless people are like really big on there. The aesthetic people are really big on there. You probably don't even know who they are, but they're on Pinterest and they make a really nice chunk of money as well. Pinterest has a really nice influencer program as well. So I definitely think it's a hidden gem, something that takes a little bit more love when it's coming for an investment aspect, but it is a hidden gem just like YouTube.
Okay, and then this is my last question.
Go ahead.
Okay, everybody keeps talking about threads. Does that have anything to do with like influencing or marketing or like business concepts? Like I keep, hearing because my one of my friends, she said she just joined Threads and she's already at $1,000 a month of just residual income of just posting random threads. So I was like, interesting. And it has nothing to do with like her business.
That's a really good question. I might let Ebony to talk to this one, even though this is my segment. I'm not on Threads. I see it all the time, but I have heard that Threads is like there's different sides of Threads. So from one of my friends, she tells me that Threads is like the new LinkedIn, like for communication in the sense of like networking. I deleted the app. I got too many apps on my phone. So I truly don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me. And I say that just because although I'm not on it, you're still able to see the little part of it on Instagram. And I do see a lot of people get really crazy engagement on their posts and anything that they post in Threads. I just personally haven't dived deep enough to see what that looks like. But it doesn't surprise me if people are bringing in money from it, honestly.
Yeah, I'll just add, Threads to me is like a hybrid between LinkedIn and Twitter. So it's like the fun side of Twitter without the drama and the crazy stuff that be on Twitter, right? But they did recently introduce a creator program where they do bonuses similar to how Instagram does Instagram bonuses. They do it on Threads as well. So the people who are active on Threads are starting to see some of that residual, and it doesn't take as long. Also, Instagram did come out and say that I won't say they favor Instagram accounts that are also connected to Threads, but the algorithms kind of work hand in hand. So
Okay, I can see
that's
that.
something to keep in mind too.
I definitely can see that because in that little realm that I can typically see when I'm on Instagram, those posts are getting crazy engagement. And then I try to click it and it tries to take me to Threads. So I know that there's something there. My friend also did, the friend that I was just talking about, she also did give me a little note because I was talking about Essence. And that was where a lot of people were talking about some debacles that happened with Essence. It was nowhere else on social but on Threads. And I was able to pull from that for one of my recaps on LinkedIn. So it is beneficial. I just haven't had time to dive, but now maybe I'll re-download it.
Got it. One more question, I promise. This is the last question.
Okay.
Is it true that SEO does help with like bringing you like to the top of the search engine? Do you know anything about like SEO?
I do. I'm trying to think about the best way to give my opinion on that. So there's two parts to it. Yes, but also you can buy to be at the top of like Google. So it's not necessarily that it does work. It does in a sense when it comes to people searching your business. It is important. SEO is very, very, very important. But when it comes to getting at the top, those typical top people are people that pay to be at the top on Google, whether that be directly through Google or another platform that can get them to the top. It's a lot of money in that because that's kind of on the side of advertisement. So yes, SEO is important. You'll never be at that top three because those are always paid slots. But anything underneath it, yes, SEO is very important. And it's a very unique it's a very unique keyword thing. They're very tricky. But I do SEO for my clients that I do web design for. So I am familiar with it, but getting to the top is just it's really in the sense of like reviews play a part. It's a lot of things that play a factor into how you get to the top of like a search engine outside of just the SEO itself. Reviews play a part, website clicks play a part. Of course, if you were to like Google my website, it's only me. So of course I would be at the top of like everything that comes with Ashlynn Racquel Media or Ashlynn Racquel in general. But for somebody else with like a not generic name, but something that's more common, it's going to be very, very hard to get to the top of that SEO without like reviews, website clicks, and stuff. That's a whole different conversation, but it's a lot more in the sense of SEO than just getting up there. But a lot of times people pay just to have that top spot at the top when you're searching for people's businesses.
So just kind of focus on being on the first page versus the top.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah. Just definitely focus on being that top. I don't think I know anybody that goes to the second page on Google. So staying on that first page is where you would want to be. So even there's so many ways you can do this, but if you can look, there's a lot of AI systems that you can use. If you type in on AI system, SEOs, that would be for X business, it'll probably provide you with some really nice keywords that you can utilize and play around with. SEO is something that you have to play around with. It's literally just keywords. So you got to really kind of figure out what people are searching for that can help you get to where you're wanting to be. But as long as you're on that first page, no matter how far down you are, you're fine. I just don't think anybody else is searching on page 2 through I don't know how many pages Google has, but I know personally I'm only ever on that first page. So the focus would be for you to be on there as well.
Thank you for all of the helpful information you have provided tonight.
You are so welcome. Thank you for asking questions.
Ashlynn, I appreciate you so much for being here.
Of course. Anything for you.
I appreciate you so much for being here, dropping the gems for the society. Of course, the replay will be up in the society tomorrow. The replay from the CapCut course yesterday will go up tonight. That hasn't gone up yet, but I'll upload it right after this call. Make sure you guys are following and connecting with Ashlynn on social media, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. If y'all the LinkedIn girl, like I still can't get with it, but I know that you be over there thriving. So
I love LinkedIn. So
connect with my sis on LinkedIn. Make sure you reach out to her for any questions. I know you said that you were going to send me, what was it? An influencer brief?
A brief and an email template. You will have that. I'm honestly probably going to send it right after this wraps, so you'll have it to share as soon as we're done here.
Perfect. I'll get links to both of those inside the society, so that will go up also tomorrow. When I upload the replay, I will also add the links. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome, everybody. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. Y'all's questions were amazing. Like Ebony said, if you have anything for me offline, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. But this was an honor. I'm so honored to have been able to chat with you guys. Y'all asked some amazing questions, so love that for me.
Yes. Listen, what's today? I never know today. Happy Thursday to the Social Society and Ashlynn only. Meet me on the main feed and let's discuss. I'm going back to the community. Talk to y'all in a second. I was going to say tomorrow. Talk to y'all in a second. Bye, friends.